and gentlemen, welcome to our podcast. My name is Jenisse Lystin as your moderator. I'm not alone today, so you guys can see I'm with my expert search. Let's say hi first to Sherlyn. Sherlyn, how are you today?
Hi everyone, I'm Sherlyn Joana Limsa and I'm doing good.
Okay, next say hi to our next search. Keyra, how are you today?
Hi everyone, my name is Keyra Wuwungan and I'm feel very excited for today's podcast.
Wow, me too. Next, let's say hello to Cecilia as our last search.
Hello all, my name is Cecilia Rustandi and I'm very happy to participate in today's podcast.
Okay guys, that is such a good introduction. So as we delve into the rich tapestry of Indonesia foreign policy, let us take a moment to turn back the page of history and explore the era of President Suharto. His reign, which lasted for more than 3 decades, played a pivotal role in shaping the landscape of Indonesian diplomacy. During Suharto's reign, the cornerstone of Indonesia foreign policy was a commitment not to side with either bloc, a stand that sought to defend independence and sovereignty in the global arena. Indonesia engaged in active diplomacy, advocating for peace, development, and cooperation. Now, let us return to our question for reflections. In what ways did Suharto-era foreign policy contribute to Indonesia's economic stability and development during his tenure, and how did it shape Indonesia's role on the global stage? Let's explore the dynamics of Suharto era and its lasting impact on Indonesia's diplomatic legacy. Okay, 1, 2, 3, let's open the discussion. So, as we know, the Suharto era marked a distinct departure from the foreign policy trajectories of its predecessors in Indonesia. Emerging from a period of political turbulence, the regime led by President Suharto from 1967 to 1998 prioritized stability, economic development, and pragmatic diplomacy, in contrast to the nationalist and non-aligned stance of Indonesia's earlier leaders, such as Sukarno. Suharto pursued a policy of selective alignment, strategically shifting away from the socialist bloc during the Cold War, and embracing closer ties with the West. Well, knowing this fact, I want to start these discussions with a question. How did the Suharto-era foreign policy differ from Sukarno's era?
The Suharto era in Indonesia was marked by a focus on political stability, economic development, and social justice. While Sukarno's era was marked by a more radical and revolutionary approach, Suharto's era foreign policy was more cautious and focused on economic cooperation, while Sukarno's was more open and focused on ideological neutrality. Suharto's government viewed the primary threat to security as a communist subversions and internal insurgencies, while Sukarno's was more focused on oppositions to colonialism and securing a war compensations between the United States and the Netherlands. Suharto's government forced diplomatic relations with China and kept other communist countries at arm's length, while Sukarno's era was more open to diplomatic relations with various countries. Suharto's foreign policy was influenced by the delicate balance of political force within Indonesia, while Sukarno's era was characterized by a self-styled role as a revolutionary leader of developing countries. In contrast, Suharto's foreign policy was more low-profile and focused on supporting Indonesia's economic development. In short, the Suharto's era foreign policy was more focused on political stability, economic development, and social justice, while Sukarno era was more radical and revolutionary.
Okay, thank you, Sherlyn. Next, let's move to Cecilia. Cecilia, what's your opinion?
So, in my opinion, Suharto's foreign policy marked a significant shift from Sukarno's, which was characterized by a confrontational approach towards the West and military expansion. This led to Indonesian withdrawing from the United Nations in 1965 and establishing Indonesian National Army, or we used to call it TNI. The role of the military under Suharto was to maintain internal security and protect the country's territorial integrity rather than pursue expansionist policies. In addition, the Suharto's government established a military territorial command system, which gave the military a significant role in local governance, and the Suharto government focused on modernizing the military and maintaining international security, while Sukarno pursued a policy of military expansion. In addition, Suharto's foreign policy also prioritized economic development and non-alignment. attracting foreign investors and organizations through low-interest aid and infrastructure investment through the 5-year Ratalipat Plan. Under his leadership, the poverty rate fell from 45% in 1970 to 11% in 1996. So it can be said that Suharto's foreign policy emphasized economic and military development, while Sukarno's policy did not really effective on the economy.
Okay, thank you, Cecilia. Next, let's hear what's Keyra's opinion.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. So, in my opinion, the foreign policy of the Suharto era differed greatly from that of Sukarno's in that the former prioritized ending the confrontation while the latter rejected the flashy and bold approach. The anti-imperialist movement was put on hold under Suharto in favor of looking for capital investment and financial assistance from the West. If we compare to Sukarno, Suharto had a more practical foreign policy. He aimed to preserve Indonesian non-aligned position while fostering better ties with the West. Sukarno, on the other hand, criticized the current international order and hoped to take the lead in a global campaign against imperialism.
Okay, thank you, Keyra. Next, as we know, one of the most famous policies during Suharto's reign was the non-aligned movement policy. Indonesia adopted a non-alignment policy, meaning it would not be bound by any military alliance. The Suharto administrations implemented a free and active foreign policy that aimed to play an active role in international issues and encourage international cooperations. So, to what extent do you all think the non-aligned policy helped maintain Indonesia independence amid geopolitical competitions and global tensions? Let's start from Sherlyn.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Indonesia's non-aligned foreign policy has helped maintain Indonesia's independence amidst geopolitical competitions and global tensions to a certain extent. Indonesia's independent and active foreign policy is not neutral, but one that does not align with superpowers nor bind the country to any military pact. Indonesia's vision for a peaceful international order includes three key elements. First, respecting all states as a sovereign and fully independent. Second, all states must be equal under international law. And third, all states must resolve conflicts peacefully through multilateral and international cooperations. However, being non-aligned means other states may try to pull Indonesia towards their positions. Despite this, through deft diplomacy, Indonesia has been able to maintain relationships with countries with different political systems and international relations and international reputations, such as Iran, Russia, and North Korea. In the long run, Indonesia could take a firm stance to align with a particular great power for its economic and security interests, or create a new bloc to navigate between the great powers. Thank you.
Okay, good opinion, Sherlyn. And how about you, Keyra?
Okay, that's a great point that Sharon already mentioned before. In my opinion, Indonesia's non-aligned policy, rooted in its independent and active doctrine, has enabled the country to maintain its independence amidst geopolitical competition and global tension. This approach allows Indonesia to engage with various global powers without aligning with any specific bloc, allowing it to pursue economic ambition and maintain sovereignty. It also promotes a global order based on respect for sovereignty and equality among states, of course. This strategic autonomy allows Indonesia to prioritize its national interests and avoid entanglement in major power imbalances.
Okay, well, I see your guys' point, but I think that foreign policy mostly influenced by Cold War views and may not be as effective for the global tension and geopolitical competition. Thank you.
Wow, very interesting discussions. The non-aligned movement policy during Suharto's reign was indeed very influential on Indonesia's positions in the international world. Furthermore, what about other policies such as active foreign policy, which is one of the key points in efforts to build a positive image, improve international relations, and advance national interests? This policy involved active participations in international forums, conflict resolutions, and the promotions of peace and economic cooperations. So, in the context of the free and active foreign policy, how do you think Suharto and his government can manage to play an active role in international issues?
The government of Suharto was able to successfully negotiate global concern by emphasizing economic development, enlisting the aid of the West, and remaining non-aligned. By using this strategy, Indonesia was able to draw financial investment and assistance from the West, of course, which aided in its development and stability. Suharto's foreign policy demonstrated a strong sense of national identity and regional entitlement, even though Sukarno's anti-imperialist crusade was abandoned. This allowed Indonesia to declare its independence and take part in international events.
Oh well, I see. Okay, how about you, Cecil? Do you agree with Keyra?
Okay, I agree with Keyra. I think he managed to play an active role in national issues through his authoritarian regime and strategic alliance. For example, by creating international alliance. Suharto's government maintained close ties with Western countries such as the United States, which further enhanced Indonesia's role in international issues. Indonesia aims to maintain a Western presence in Southeast Asia for regional security, despite U.S. involvement in encountering China.
Okay, next let's move to Sherlyn. Sherlyn, what's your opinion?
Okay, I also agree with Keyra, as he mentioned before. By using the free and active foreign policy strategy, it helped attract financial investment and assistance from West, fostering Indonesia development and stability. This support expanded Indonesia's trade relations with Western nations and facilitated its participations in international trade. Therefore, the Suharto's era foreign policy positively impacted Indonesia's trade relations, contributing to its economic growth and development. On top of that, Indonesia's free and active foreign policy allowed Indonesia to play a more active role in regional cooperations and integrations, influencing international issues within the Southeast Asian region through its leadership in the associations of Southeast Asian nations.
Okay, that is such a wonderful feedback. Next, let's step back to the time when Indonesia established relations with Western countries, especially the United States. During the Suharto government, Indonesia's close relationship with the West, particularly with the US, went beyond bilateral interactions. It opened the door for economic aid, investment, and technology exchange that became the main foundation for national development projects. This is equally interesting, however, is how Suharto was able to maintain a delicate balance in his relationship with the Western and Eastern blocs. At that time, the world was divided by the polarizations of the Cold War, but Indonesia managed to distance itself from ideological conflicts and establish positive relations with Eastern Bloc countries such as the Soviet Union and China. And how did Suharto success in maintaining this balance impact not only domestic political and economic security but also shape Indonesia's positions on the global stage? Were relations with the Western and Eastern blocs the key to success in the maintaining national sovereignty and identity?
Okay, well, I think Suharto's success in maintaining a balance in international relations significantly impacted not only Indonesia's domestic political and economic security, but also shaped its position on the global stage. His low-profile foreign policy, hence in support of Indonesia's economic development, was extremely successful. As I said before, in Suharto's era, the poverty rate in Indonesia fell. Moreover, Indonesia's global position is largely due to its non-aligned policy and strategic alliance with Western and Eastern blocs. However, the regime's negative impact on political, social, and economic policy is human rights abuse and environmental disaster is also significant. Indonesia's national sovereignty and identity were largely maintained through its non-aligned policy, which emphasized strategic autonomy and engagement with all countries. This approach allowed the country to navigate between the Western and Eastern bloc without military attacks despite geopolitical competition and global tension. However, Indonesia must adapt to changing global landscape and effectively navigate between great powers.
Okay, what about you, Keyra? Do you agree with Cecil?
I agree with Cecilia's statement, but in my opinion, Suharto's pragmatic foreign policy, which prioritized economic development and improved relations with the West while maintaining a non-aligned status, played a crucial role in Indonesia's success in maintaining a balance between domestic, political, and economic security. This approach allowed Indonesia to attract Western aid and capital investment, contributing to its economic growth and stability. Suharto government also navigated international issues by engaging with various global powers without aligning with any specific bloc, ensuring Indonesia independence and sovereignty. This approach allowed Indonesia to pursue its economic ambition without being entangled in major power influence. Overall, Suharto's approach to foreign policy has been instrumental in shaping Indonesia's global position.
Okay, thank you, Keyra. Next, let's hear what's Sherlyn's opinion.
Okay, I understand and agree with the statement you guys point out, but let's not forget that not only the relations with the Western and Eastern blocs and the non-aligned or free active foreign policy was the key to success in maintaining Indonesia's national sovereignty and identity. But there was also due to a combination of military control and political control. This allowed Indonesia to play an active role in international issues while maintaining its national sovereignty and identity. As has been mentioned by Cecilia before, Suharto regime was marked by authoritarianism, human rights abuse, and institutionalized corruptions. This can be seen by the fact that he implemented a brutal purge on Communist Party members and supporters in 1965 until 1967, enhancing the role of the Indonesian armed force in internal security. This allowed him to control potential challenges and ensure national security. This new order regime, which focused on consolidating central government and military control, led to rapid improvements in living standards and strong economy during the 1970s. However, he also led to the exploitations of the country's natural resources and low-wage labor. Furthermore, he also consistently used repression to control the political landscape, denying basic rights to political opponents, censoring information, and imposing a new ideological orthodoxy.
Okay, what an amazing discussion from my international relations friends at Bina Nusantara University. Since we have reached the end of the discussions, I would like to ask you all the last questions. As international relations students and citizens of the Republic of Indonesia, as well as the next generations of the nation in the future, what do you think if the foreign policy government during Suharto's era is applied today? Is it worth it and could it develop our country?
Okay, the application of Suharto's foreign policy in Indonesia is a contentious issue. Despite its success in attracting Western aid and capital investment, the country's current geopolitical environment and economic needs must be considered, of course. The country's foreign policies should be tailored to address the rise of new global powers, economic shift, and complex security issues. A direct application of Suharto's approach may not fully address Indonesia's current needs and goals. A comprehensive and tailored foreign policy that aligns with the present-day realities is crucial for the country's development and global engagement. While some aspects of Suharto's approach may offer insights, a comprehensive and tailored foreign policy is essential for the country's development and global engagement.
Oh well, what about you, Cecilia? Do you agree with Keyra's opinion?
Well, in my opinion, if the foreign policy implemented during the Suharto era were to be implemented today, it will most likely come under significant security and criticism. Because while Suharto's low-profile foreign policy was successful in promoting Indonesia's economic development, but it was also characterized by authoritarianism, human rights abuse, and institutionalized corruption. The regime's brutal use of violence, surveillance, and intimidation to maintain power is not aligned with our contemporary international norms and expectations.
Okay, next let's move to Sherlyn. Sherlyn, what's your opinion?
Okay, for me, foreign policies are shaped by historical, political, and socio-economic factors. Suharto's New Order era focused on economic development, political stability, and a non-aligned foreign policy. However, in today's globalized world, issues like human rights, democracy, climate change, and digital transformations are increasingly important. Some principles from Suharto's foreign policy may still be relevant, but others may need to be reassessed in light of these new realities. The success of foreign policy depends on its implementations, global response, and alignment with a country's domestic policies and national interests. The low-profile foreign policy during Suharto supported Indonesia's economic growth. However, its applicability to the present day should be evaluated considering global dynamics, Indonesia's specific needs and priorities, and the rise of the new global powers. A thorough analysis of Suharto-era foreign policy benefits and drawbacks is necessary to determine its suitability and potential contributions to the country's development.
Okay, well, I understand how you all feel. As a young individual who is creative and building the future, Sherlyn, Keyra, and Cecilia, your insights have truly enriched our understanding of this critical period in Indonesia history. Our discussions today has shed light on the impact of Suharto's foreign policy on Indonesia economic growth, global standing, and the maintenance of its national sovereignty. Okay, to our listener, thank you for joining us on these explorations. We hope this podcast has offered valuable insights, sparking curiosity and reflections on the historical force that have shaped Indonesia global relationship. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions on the Bina Nusantara University podcast. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe. We look forward to bringing you more thought-provoking content in the episodes to come. Until next time, this is Jenisse signing off. Bye-bye!